Well, it's that time of year. I need to get the sprinkler system back online after after a long cold winter. So I did a video on winterizing my system. So this is the reversing the process. So I like to remove my backflow valve because it's on quick connect fittings. Like I said, we bought this house 2 years ago. So this is a backflow valve, and it's set up. It was originally set up with these quick connect fittings on either end. So in the fall, I just take the whole thing off. Don't have to worry about, changing any valve settings or, draining this thing. It just makes it so much easier to drain the whole system if I just take this whole backflow valve off for the winter. And there's no worries about anything freezing. And all I do is cover the incoming line with a piece of PVC, and then the outgoing line I just put this cap on. So the first thing I'm going to do is, since I blew out I blew this line out from here to the valve coming in from the street, which is at the other end of my house. In the fall, I blew air through here and blew this whole line out back to the valve. So I'm going to fill this line up with water just to get all the air out before so I don't have a ton of air trapped in there. So I'm going to go crack the valve open and fill that line up and then turn it off. So this is my line coming in. When I winterized it last year, I blew it out and then recapped it. So this is torqued and this is sealed. So when I did it last fall, I put this back in so it's ready for the spring turn on. So I'm gonna crack this just like a screw left open until I think my line is filled up to get all that air out of it. Maybe that should do it. Let me go check it. Okay, I'm almost about an inch from the top. I'm gonna hit it again. Push all that. Looks like there's a little bit of debris floating on top. I'll push that stuff out. Yeah, so this is a super easy job. No tools required. Unlike winterizing it, where you have to hook up a compressor, especially if you have these quick connect fittings on it. So I've got this. This is what I add. This is my piece that I made for blowing the line out, and then this nut on the bottom is where the plumbing starts for the backflow valve. And in my case, I have a meter, city meter, where I can subtract the well, not subtract, but record the water that I use on my irrigation, and it's taken off my sewer bill. So this is a piece that's made for blowing out the line. I hook up my air fitting here, and then just leave this, just cap it. That's a cap, and then leave that on for the winter. And then this gasket is used. This will come up. My backflow valve pipe will sit on top of this gasket, and then this will cinch down. And then same thing over here. I just have this gasket, which I replaced last year. It was all squashed, and then the nut on here will just seat down, and then we're done. So the one thing I do like to do is hit these rubber gaskets with silicone spray. this one and this one. Make them last a lot longer. Yeah, that gasket really absorbed that silicone. And then you know, this will be the surface seating on this end, and this will be the surface right here seating on this gasket. So I'm just going to wipe that down. My hands are wet with silicone, which is good. You want that to be kind of smooth. I'm going to get this bigger ones. Ah. I got the bigger one started, and then easier to position this one. And that's all there is to it. Hand tighten those. I'm gonna put my gloves on. And you can feel when that seats on that gasket. And that's it. So these valves were in the position they were in when I last used it. So I'm going to shut this one off, the incoming line. I don't know if it's necessary. Then I'm going to turn the water pressure on. It's about 80 psi coming in on that line, and then I'm just going to open this slowly, just to, so I'm not slamming this backflow valve open all at once. We have full line pressure on. Check here for leaks. No leaks. So this is all pressurized under up to here, 80 psi, and then I'm going to have a look at my valves, which are right next door to my backflow valve incoming line. I replaced all these last year, the entire manifold, all the wiring, the controller. So I've got videos on that whole process. So just gonna have a look at these while I turn this on. So now I'm gonna add pressure to the system. That's the backflow valve making that noise. It generally leaks until you open it all the way. Just heard it fill up. I expect it to leak. There it is. And then I'm going to open it all the way, and that should seal. Looks good. And over here, no leaks here. The other union I had apart. And the valves look good. No leaks in the box. So now I'm going to go around and turn each zone on with my phone. I am delighted with this smart irrigation system controller. Like I said, I did, I think, 5 series videos on
upgrading this whole system last year, where I put a smart controller on it that I can control with my phone, but it makes this process so much easier when you're, going through and checking everything at the start of the season. And I highly recommend this. You do a DIY on this and understand how all this works. It's not complicated, and it's not hard to do. Trusting someone else just to come out and turn your system on is, you may end up like I ended up with a system that was a total wreck when I moved into the house 2 years ago. Everything was, valves were, the whole system was a train wreck. So I finally, after 2 years, have it all fixed up, the smart controller on it, and I'm not a plumber, I'm just a retired guy that has a little bit of DIY skills, but I'm not a plumber, I'm not an electrician, so this is a simple job for anybody with average intelligence. All right, so I've had my system on hold for the winter. So my controller is Yardian. It was like less than $150 for this controller. Like I said, it's a must-have. Rather than going around to the box and flipping switches in the box, it's so simple. So the first thing I have to do after I call this up is to go to the menu and turn off. I had all watering skipped until April 8th, and it's now March 10th. So before I can cycle it, I need to turn that off. Do you want to deactivate standby mode? Yes. Okay, so now I should be able to control, and now I can turn on each zone. Say 2 minutes, zone 1, and turn it on. Hear the valve activate. Water's flowing. There's going to be a lot of water in the lines, or air in the lines. So all the heads look good. No geysers, which is good. And then my last zone 5, 2 minutes. This is 5 over here, so I'm 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that should be pushing a lot of air out of there. All right, zone 5 looks good. 1, 2, 3, 4 heads. No geysers. I replaced all 4 of these heads last year on this zone. These were leaking more water than they were throwing. All right. Shut 5 off. Okay, zipped everything up. We're good to go for the new watering season. This is a DIY I highly recommend. To know, if you just ignore it like the prior owner did at this house for 25 years, it can turn into a mess real quick. Luckily, I was able to do everything myself. I think it cost me $500 for all the hardware to to redo 5 new valves, build a new manifold, replace head. Well, that's minus the heads. So maybe I got $1,000 in parts between the heads. 20. I think I did 20 heads. Replaced, relocated, new controller, all new valves, and I got videos on all this stuff. But yeah, this is, like anybody else, these irrigation guys are shorthanded. They don't have time to come out and do what I just did and understand. Basically they're gonna look to see if each head's pushing water. My heads were 50% throwing water, 50% leaking. So half the water, I estimate half the water that was coming out of this system was just wasted, just flooding around the head, not even getting broadcast out in the yard. So I would think my water usage should be half of what it was, because I cut the times in half, the watering times, as from what they were with the prior owner. And yeah, the only thing to keep up with this process is the cover pipe for the incoming line, this PVC pipe, and this fitting. And again, I show this fitting in my winterization process. And I just keep those on the shelf. And so it's now March when it comes, I think November is when I normally do it. So November, I'll go winterize the system and store the backflow valve in here. So yeah, that's it. That's all there is to it. That's again, highly recommend you understand it and do it right and keep up with it. Keep everything fixed and operable. If you don't, you're going to end up with a mess years down the road. And to pay somebody to do this, to redo the whole thing, whether they do it right or not, I don't know. But if you watch my earlier videos, the system was terrible. The way it was put in, the way the valves were wired, the way the valves were done, it was just not done right to begin with. So yeah, if you were paid if I would have called somebody the day I moved into this house to say, hey, this whole irrigation system's messed up, it probably would have been a $8-10 grand experience to have them basically do what I did. It took me probably a year and a half. I started replacing heads the first year we moved in, and then the next year I went into the valves and the manifold and relocated heads. So over a year and a half, at my leisure, I was able to get everything up to snuff, and it's working perfect now. And I have this smart controller, which is the bomb. If you again, highly recommend you do the smart controller, because you can turn it on from anywhere. Now you're traveling, you can shut it off. You forget to shut it off, and it's raining. And I link this to the local weather report. So if there's a greater than 50% chance of rain, the system automatically shuts off. I don't have to, keep up with rain sensors, and it's just a really, really smart system. And there's tons of them out there. I happen to use the Yardian just because I watched a video on a guy installing one, a guy that seemed like he was pretty sharp. He had quite a few irrigation videos. I think he might have been a professional, and he watched him doing an installation on a Yardian, and I just went with that one. Didn't compare others, and it was, I think, $129 maybe on Amazon. Super simple I'm not an electrician. It was just really easy to install. Like I said, I have a video on that too. But yeah, so that's it. System's ready for another watering season, and I'm really pleased that that's operating like it is. So hope this video helps you DIYers on your irrigation.